Our speaker this morning is Alex Murray. Alex is a three-year boarding student from Manassas, Virginia. He's a member of the varsity football, wrestling, and track and field teams, and a prefect in Johnson House. He's the proud brother of Kyle and Emma and the proud roommate of Hunter Sloan. Alex?
Thank you, Rocco. Good morning. My stomach twists and turns as my body struggles to stay in my seat. With only a seatbelt to secure the well-being of my limbs and organs, I began to have the slightest feeling of regret. As this feeling began to settle in, I looked out the window and suddenly felt free. The aching of my stomach and the sudden emotions of regret quickly fell quiet to the whirring sounds of the wind and engine. As the noise of my surroundings consumed my ears, my mind was only focused on my gaze, entranced by the rose gold rays of sunlight that had met the darkness of the horizon. As I looked on into this heavenly spectacle with the clouds to my feet, I breathed in a sigh of relief as I remembered I was finally flying. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alex, and since this past summer, one of my coolest characteristics has been that I am a pilot, well, a student pilot specifically. This feat was honestly quite funny to me and my friends because I still haven't gotten my driver's license, yet somehow I'm allowed to fly planes. Jokes aside, the fact that I am able to fly planes is an amazing accomplishment for me, as my dream ever since I was a little kid has been to fly for the military, like my dad. But of course, as most of our dreams are, they're not simply accomplished for us or given to us, but rather they're things we strive to achieve or obtain, such as raising enough money to buy that new phone, getting accepted by a college, or making the varsity team in your favorite sport. The bottom line is everyone has dreams in life, but not many people can turn those dreams into goals. Funny enough, I've always known that I'd want to be a pilot. But coincidentally, my first two encounters with this profession were colossal failures. I remember being a little kid, no taller than 4 feet, when my father was on the last flight of his career. While he was busy gliding through the sky, doing tons of flips, spins, and tricks, I was on the ground, struggling to fill up a big bag of water, which I was to throw at my dad once he got out of his plane, as is tradition in the naval aviation community. Sadly, as I ran towards him, I launched this weapon of aquatic mass destruction, all of 2 feet, where it splashed right in front of my dad, missing him completely and spoiling the surprise. Or perhaps in the summer of 2020, when I was invited to visit Spain by one of my closest childhood friends, Pablo, who had recently moved back to Madrid from Virginia Beach, where we went to school together. Pablo's family, like mine, are a big military family, with both Pablo's dad's side and mom's side having military roots. I was introduced to this fact when I met Pablo's uncle, who was the Confloan, or wing commander, of the Spanish Air Base in Rota. While at the base, I had the opportunity to try out their newest simulator for their Harrier, which is one of the primary fighters of the Spanish Armada. Needless to say, I was way too cocky and, of course, managed to break the physics engine of the simulator by doing a maneuver that the jet itself was physically incapable of performing. So yeah, there's another failure in the books. Now, I know the words failure and pilot are not the best things to combine in a sentence, but honestly, without this innate ability to fail, I would never have gotten as far as I have today. You see, failure is a teacher in the sense that it forces you to either give up on your goals or it pushes you to learn from your mistakes. As U.S. Attorney General Robert Kennedy once said, only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. And I wholeheartedly believe this to be true. If you want to have any success in life, in whatever it is you do, you must take chances. Failing time and time again not only builds resilience in your character, but also shows your passion to succeed. It forces you to decide whether to just give up and walk away or decide that you never want to feel that way again. Failure is what pushes us beyond what we think we are capable of. And until we realize this and rid ourselves of this fear of failing, and instead dare to take those chances in life to learn and grow, only then will we reach true success. The reason I'm telling you this now is because until this past summer, I was terrified of failure, constantly stuck in a cycle of overthinking about anything and everything in my life. I was 16 years old and I had gotten accepted to a flight program where I would spend 3 weeks learning the basics of flying and the aviation community as a whole. I had never fathomed being in the situation I was in, the cramped cockpit full of switches, levers, and lights, all with their own designators and procedures, the tiny laminated paper strapped to my leg, detailing every maneuver possible and what seemed like an infinite amount of situations I could be in. As along with the constant chatter of numbers, instructions, and coordinates from the radio from other pilots and airports. With so much to learn and remember, while only having 3 weeks to perfect it, I was definitely overwhelmed. I was afraid of the challenge that lay before me, because for me, flying was my passion, a community that I was raised around and inspired to join one day. And now my opportunity was here, and I believed I wouldn't make the cut. It was only until I met someone at the program that I would change my mindset on the matter and push forward to accomplishing this lifelong goal. His name was Jess, and he was my flight instructor when I went down to Florida for a flight program called Aim High. At the time, he was just a 20-year-old guy who decided not to go to college, but instead become a flight instructor with hopes of eventually being an airline pilot. Jess was one of the calmest people I had ever met. No matter the situation or weather while we were up in the air, he would always be relaxed and he'd help me get through whatever challenge I faced. I had always admired how he would confidently teach me maneuvers or basic rules of flying, along with allowing me to figure out many problems on my own, which honestly, without this type of support and guidance, I don't think I would have made it through the program. Thanks to his guidance and the confidence he instilled in me, I was able to complete my first solo flight and officially receive my student pilot license. Now, as the program was coming to a close, I asked him why he was always so calm and confident in his flying. His answer really surprised me, as he said the reason was because at first he sucked at flying. Failure is all a part of the process, he said, and that for him, it allowed him to learn and grow as a pilot, as well as maintain the desire to always be better. His words stuck with me as I left, and I realized that this idea of failure and even the concept of flying isn't just about becoming a pilot, but also about life in general. When flying, you're surrounded by nothing but space and opportunity, much like how we, as people, are when we are born. As the pilot of your aircraft, you choose which direction you want to travel, but not everything will go to your favor. Of course, you will have times of turbulence during your journey, and although these moments can be difficult, you must face these challenges head on, believing in yourself and being confident in your training and instincts, and believing that the people and believing in yourself and the lessons you've learned from those around you. And if you ever get in trouble or get yourself into a bind, you can always ask for help, look back, and learn from the experience. Flying, like life, is all about the journey and not the destination. And I believe that it's truly the challenges we face and the obstacles we overcome that make us who we are as members of this community and this world. Now, as I close out this chapel talk, I implore all of you to dare to fail, to push yourselves to be the best you can possibly be, to try new things, to experience the world, and of course, to live life to the fullest. Because for all of us, the sky's the limit, and after a while, you'll look back and see how far you've flown. Thank you.